What does the one-year anniversary of the Lily Mine collapse mean to the affected families? Who is liable for the compensation of the families and the rescued employees? Why has the Mineral Resources Department initiated an inquiry into the accident? Is the current Mining Indaba likely to prioritize the Mine Health and Safety Act? What time is it? It's question time. Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Rozalia Whitehead, sitting in for Mpho Tsedu. Yesterday marked exactly 1 year since the collapse of Vantage Goldfields Lily Mine in Mpumalanga. On that fateful day, Yvonne Mnisi, Nkambule and Solomon Nyerende were trapped in the lamp room container that was swallowed by a sinkhole. Numerous search and rescue missions have so far failed due to fears of unstable ground and possible collapse. Last year, Vantage Goldfields said it needed 200 million rand to resume the rescue mission and mining operations, with the nearby Barbrook Mine also having been placed under business rescue. Mining Union AMCU is criticizing mine owners and the government for their slow pace in the retrieve of the bodies of the trapped mine workers. While there are more questions than answers to the Lily Mine tragedy, the investing in Africa Mining Indaba started in Cape Town today. We're live, therefore you can call us and air your views on the following numbers: 089-110-420-4210, or tweet us your comments. Our handle is @QuestionTime24. My guests are Blessings Ramoba, President at the Mining Forum South Africa, and joining us from our Sea Point studio is Peter Bailey, Health and Safety National Chairperson at National Union of Mine Workers, or NUM. Welcome to both of you. Blessing, let's just start with you. Please, just briefly, if you can just tell us about your organization and why your organization would be particularly important at such a time.
Okay, thank you. We are the Mining Forum of South Africa. We were founded on the basic principles of trying by all means to enforce the social and labor plans in the mining industry, and also the MPDRA and the mining charter, seeing that the mining industry and all the mining companies within the industry, they are complying with all the principles, working with the DMR.
Okay, so let's go back to the tragedy that happened at Lily Mine. I mean, we've just marked the 1 year anniversary. What does this mean to the families?
Right now, it's not a good situation for the families because the affected people or the families, the individuals were the breadwinners of their families, and now their children and their families who are actually looking into their lives, that they actually put bread on the table. They don't have anything, and then right now, in terms of the mining companies, the mining company itself is not even assisting to do the same thing, putting the bread on the table for the families.
Okay, Mr. Bailey, in our Sea Point studio, for you, what does this mean for the families?
You can imagine the heartache, the pain, and the suffering that they're going through. We've condemned the fact that there has been an attempt to have a commemoration or a celebration marking the first anniversary. We are of the firm belief that marking an anniversary of bodies that have not been retrieved, in order to grant the families an opportunity to find closure, is very insensitive of the mining industry and all those who had participated in this process.
Mr. Bailey, why was this past weekend's Remembrance Day celebrations cancelled at the last minute?
Well, it was cancelled because we had criticized this process. We are of the firm opinion that you only commemorate once you have retrieved the bodies, given them a dignified funeral, and have allowed the families to find closure.
You're nodding there, Mr. Robo.
Yes. First of all, is that these families, they don't have a death certificate as yet. You cannot do that. It's unethical to actually do that to the families because they are still hurting. The bodies of these individuals, they have not been resumed, and so you cannot do that as to say that you are saying let's have a commemoration as like Marikana. So this is a different story. It's a different case to say, let us first get into the matter in terms of resuming the bodies of these individuals and making sure that all the parties and all the stakeholders get involved in terms of taking out these bodies to the families, and so that the families can have the death certificate. So it gives a closure again to the family actually to bring healing into the matter itself.
And where are we in terms of that? I mean, what's been happening in terms of the recovery of the bodies? Okay,
the company says that they do not have resources to actually to continue with the process of trying to retrieve the bodies, and again now they actually want to the stakeholders of the company and the shareholders, they have agreed to start a new shaft, an inclined shaft, basically to start mining again, as to forget about those bodies. Now, one thing that COSATU has said, he said that they cannot allow that, to say that the mining, another company comes and start mining while those bodies are still there on the ground. So there's no closure for the family. Let's first deal with the problem. Right now, the minister yesterday took out the statement saying that with this situation right now, he has concluded in terms of his investigation. As in terms of Mine Health and Safety Act, there must be an inquiry in terms of what has really happened. We don't have results in terms of knowing what really happened, so that the family can have a closure on that. And again, now we through that inquiry, that's when we're going to have answers through the inquiry itself.
Okay, Mr. Bailey, any idea what really happened to those miners? And in your honest opinion, do you believe those bodies will be retrieved?
What has happened is a tragedy. I think one must first say that. Secondly, we believe that these bodies would have been retrieved if all stakeholders within the mining and role players within the mining industry were involved in this process. A typical example of why I say that. If you look at the situation where the Zamazamas were trapped underground, engineers and the Department of Minerals and Resources said that it is impossible to retrieve these bodies because of the unsafe conditions underground. Their fellow workers went down, retrieved the bodies, brought them out unharmed. The longer we have waited, the more dangerous it has become underground. Now, if this is how the industry is going to operate, isolating people with the necessary expertise, because the expertise is not those engineers who sit in boardrooms. The expertise are not those who have gone to universities and sit in air-conditioned offices. The expertise is those that are daily exposed to the dangers of the underground environment and understand that environment. They have had physical experience of that. And if they were all involved in the process, then I believe we would have been able to retrieve these bodies.
All right, so we've got Peter on the line. Hi, Peter. Please go ahead with your question or comment.
Hi.
Go ahead with your question or comment, Peter.
Yeah, because, you know what, I suggest that those people, because they are still underground, their families, they must get paid every month, because they are still at work, those people now. Because I hear the guy said they don't have a death certificate. If you don't have a death certificate, by other way, you're still alive, and you're trapped under the ground. The family, they must get paid every month until they get those people, and then they get the death certificate.
All right, thank you so much, Peter. After the break, we continue discussing the Lily Mine tragedy.
takes patience and the finest ingredients to craft a milk stout of superior quality that is made to be savored by the most refined palate. Castle Milk Stout. Savor the moment. The Castle Milk Stout 440ml can, now with a wider mouth for a smoother pour.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. You can call us and air your views. The numbers to dial are 089-110-4210. And before the break, Blessings, Peter asked a question about whether saying that he believes the families should be paid because they have not received death certificates. What is the situation at the moment?
The situation is that the company has been placed under a business rescue practitioner. So to that, they're trying to say that they do not have funds to actually compensate the families. And the worst situation is that it's not only those affected families, also their workers, they don't have something, they don't get any compensation or any salaries as we speak right now. So since the company is placed under a business practitioner, under rescue.
There was an amount of 200,000 that was talked about. Has that money been paid?
That has never been given to the families. Those are what we got on the news and all the media, that the families, even the company said that they were going to unleash 200,000 rand to give to the family to compensate all the 3 families. Until now, those families, they haven't received anything. And the worst thing again is that even the DMR itself, it has concluded with the investigation. And now you can say, how can you conclude the investigation while those families are still hungry wherever they are? They're still starving. They haven't received anything. If a recommendation within the conclusion of the DMR investigation to say these families were going to get this money, and where is that money going to come from? Because right now the company has been placed under business rescue. It's very, very difficult. And now the question again, it can be that who must compensate these people if that is the situation, to say these companies, they say they do not have money. I think the minister, working with all the stakeholders, there must be a solution. The matter must still be investigated more and more so that to find solution on what can be done, because those families are starving as we speak.
Mr. Bailey, who should be liable to pay that money to the families?
Before we get to the liability, I think it's important to put something into context here. The operation that has had the unfortunate situation belongs to a mining house. The mining house is not in limbo. It is the operation that is in limbo. Therefore, the mining house should take full responsibility. This thing must stop that we plead poverty when it comes to compensating black mine workers in South Africa. But when it comes to compensating executives and CEOs for non-performance and for having people died in their operations, then there's no issue with money. Now,
Mr. Bailey,
over and above the mining house.
Mr. Bailey, I'm going to have to interrupt you. We've got a caller on the line. Pilar, please go ahead with your question or comment. Hi, Pilar, please go ahead with your question or comment. Okay, Mr. Bailey, back to you. Who do you believe is liable?
Over and above the mining house, there is an industry called the Chamber of Mines. Now, this thing must stop, that operations is regarded as, when they plead poverty or they go under business rescue, their liability as an industry then lapses. The mining industry is led by the Chamber of Mines, and the Chamber of Mines, we've long said, must establish a fund in which fund all operators will pay into, because mining houses come and go, but the Chamber of Mines remains there, and therefore the industry should take full responsibility for compensating these families.
Okay, Blessing, the mining Indaba has just started. Do you think the Mine Health and Safety Act will be prioritized?
The issue of Mine Health and Safety Act it's something that is very crucial. I'm a mining engineer by profession, and what we say you cannot mine if it's not safe. In 1996, a commission was done called the Lyon Commission, that which was dealing with the Mining Health and Safety Act in South Africa. During the apartheid time, in 1960, we had what you call 1960 years coal brook, whereby 437 people were buried underground in a coal mine. Mm-hmm. And those people, until today, they're still there. The same situation as we are speaking now, we are saying this is a democratic kind of a state right now. So the same situation cannot happen. You know, we cannot continue and run things as normal while the bodies are still underground. You know, it's just unethical of these companies to say, how does this kind of a thing happen? And one thing for sure that we prioritize is to prioritize mining while those bodies are still down. I think it has to be one of their keynote address, that which has to be dealt with thoroughly so by all the stakeholders, to say, if this situation is like this, as you have said, alluded, Mr., that the Chamber of Mines must actually be accountable to actually commission kind of a fund to say this is going to be a solution if this kind of situation happens in dealing with the problems. Yes. All
right, so we've got Mala on the line. Welcome, Mala. Please go ahead with your question or comment.
How are you doing, madam?
I'm fine, thanks, and you?
Blessing there.
Yes, sir.
I'm good.
I'm good, sir.
I want to ask, even though some questions, even though you won't maybe be able to, but not judging you. You will give it a try. Why the issue of money so fast? Thus money, the value of money are at the highest level than the lives of people. Why the minister, Mzebenti Zwane, rush into the promise of money to the families out there? Then he says of 200,000 and the other figures, 50,000. To the miners, and the conclusion of the investigation by the mines. The relationship there, when you combine them, what in one way one can say? Thus, at the end, we will see our people back, or they are dead. That is the reason why they promised them 200,000 to the and 50,000 to the other mines. Because according to my understanding is this, we must be sure, this case, we must be sure that these people are no more.
Thanks so
then
much.
From here, what are we doing? What are the purpose of those 200,000 we get and the 50,000?
Thank you so much.
Yes, as to answer that question, I think the regulator itself, the DMR, is very lenient when dealing with these mining companies. You know, there's a lot of incompetence within the DMR that which can be another platform to be debated. But what I'm going to say right now is that looking at these companies, because right now the minister said that they must be compensated and something like that. So rather than to say, you cannot leave, because right now those individuals, that company is actually being sold to another company, and the same people that are going to buy that company going forward and come back and operate while those bodies are still down. So I think to say that I think our law is not really very strong. We need to actually, if needs be that we amend the law, the mining law, the mining charter, the MPDRA, let it be, and we need to be very, very strong whenever we are dealing with this mining mining companies. We must not be lenient. We must try to enforce them. If they are not, for example, we've got social and labor plans. These mining companies are not adhering to it, and nothing is being done to them.
All right, Mr. Bailey, how do you respond?
No. You see, there's a lot of confusion here. The offer by the minister of 200,000 rand to those individuals' families is not a compensation. It is a gesture of goodwill because the Compensation Act caters for that. Now, the minister makes an offer and says, given the fact that these bodies have not been retrieved, given the fact that there can't be any compensation, statutory compensation as yet, and given the fact that the inquiry has not been done to prove that there was negligence from the side of the employer, I am dedicating 200,000 rand to each family. Leave the question whether it was given or not. He makes that announcement, hoping that the industry will follow suit and say, as a gesture of goodwill to ensure that the family does not suffer, we are going to double that. The industry does not do that. Now, the question whether these people are dead or not and money is given, the reality of the matter is that their families don't have an income, and we've got to look after those families until such time that they get the statutory compensation. Now, the question of the incompetence of the DMR, I don't want to take sides, but I think it's important to say that the DMR has been enforcing the legislation. The problem currently is that there are loopholes in the legislation. It gives the state the right to pass a fine to the employers, but that fine is so low. It's a legislative requirement. It's so low, they can recover that money within an hour or 2 hours of full production. What we must do is amend the legislation that deals with the question of adding value to human life. Right. Now, human life cannot be determined in terms of rand and cent, but you can surely send a message out there that it is unacceptable to kill South Africans.
We've got Josh on the line. Welcome, Josh. Please go ahead with your question or comment.
Hey, ma'am, how are you?
I'm well, thanks, and you?
It's Josh from town, Josh by Itsumezi.
All right, go ahead with your question or comment.
I just a question that I've asked. I need to ask. By the way, I see on the TV, it looks like that mine, the surveyor, people who have surveyed on that mine is the one who has failed the people. I don't know if the Minister of Mineral have he ever see that. Mm-hmm. I thank you.
All right. I want to go back to you, Mr. Bailey. The conditions around that mine, are you satisfied that in terms of the Mine Health and Safety Act, that everything was done the way it was supposed to?
Well, I haven't been to Lily Mine, but my colleagues have been. And everything was done to keep them out of the process, even in making a contribution, because we are not a majority union there. That is irrelevant at this point in time. But what we're observing, and what we've observed from a distance, is that there is a lot going wrong at that operation. Whether the DMR has done its inspections, that I cannot say. All we are saying is that's water under the bridge. What we sit with is a situation where families are left destitute, where children are orphaned, where husbands and wives are left widowed. And I think what we need to do is give some sense of dignity back and find mechanisms. And the mining industry must come to the fore and say, as an industry, we're going to dedicate this because it is ethically and morally correct to retrieve those bodies in order to internalize the pain and say that we want these families to have closure.
All right, Blessing, one last question. Do you believe the inquiry is likely to yield any positive results?
No. Because now, if it does, because the Mine Health and Safety Act now, its inquiry is how, if this mine, if they have done risk assessment, the procedure, was it okay in terms of regulation with the mine itself and the DMR, looking at the cause of the instabilities around the area. But I believe that by just look of eyes is that it seems that no risk assessment was done. It's still questionable, but someone must be brought to book to say, through the inquiry, to say who was responsible for this and who didn't do their job in terms of avoiding that.
All right, thank you so much. And that was question time for today. A big thank you to my guests and to you at home for watching.